when you gave her candy, she would give you a Little Debbie. Well, I guess by the time they got to us, she didn't have any Little Debbies left. But I didn't get any Little Debbies.
Got the better end of that deal.
I know, right?
Snack cakes.
You're the sweet tart kid.
I mean,
you're Little Debbie.
Right.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 41 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey, guys.
What's up, guys?
What's happening? Nice to see y'all.
By the way, did you see the commercial about how Wingstop is changing to Thigh Stop?
What?
Yes.
You're
because
joking,
they're
right?
like, we acknowledge that there's a wing shortage, so we're going to start selling thighs. And so they call themselves Thigh Stop now. It's not real, but
That's
like...
I was going to say, it's going to be a marketing gimmick,
But like,
right?
if you look on like Google Maps and stuff, it pops up as Thigh Stop.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, seriously. I will look it up right now if you want.
Holy
I'll show
cow.
you.
But,
But,
Steven, how do you feel about that as a Canes man? You guys don't know this, but Steven is actually sponsored by Canes. He gets money to speak to grace.
It's all with the membership card you get there that
Yeah, I think he
gives nothing.
dips his chicken in his bourbon.
I do have, I think I do have 98 visits.
98 visits to Cane, you're counting?
No, it's on the card.
Oh, it's on the card.
Yeah,
It's
at the
like
bottom
a
it goes-
journal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you get
man.
nothing for it. So
Well, I mean, I did just hit red status at Chick-fil-A the other day.
Oh,
which
what's that? I don't even know.
You get a few more dollars, a few more points per dollar or something like that, So I thought I was doing great. And then guy I work with, he's like, oh, dude, I got twice as many points as you. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, we go there a lot, And so I was trying to figure out why we hadn't gotten it. What I realized is because when we go, we use gift cards, and you don't get points for gift cards. So, you don't. So that's why.
Don't you feel like rewarding loyalty at restaurants is like a lost art now? I don't have any punch cards for any places, but I guess I don't go enough to have any. But it's just like, I know the liquor stores aren't rewarding anybody for any of their loyalty. So I was hoping the restaurants
you
would.
get like $5 for when you spend like $500.
I do. I mean, I don't buy enough at liquor stores, honestly, to even do it. So I give them Steven's number every time I go. So I figure if one of us is going to get rewarded,
You talking about total waste total wine?
right?
Okay, all right.
Like I see people in there, and I see how people get stuff though. Like you buy like wine and stuff. It can be like $100 and something bucks when you buy like a whole case of it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand, but like I just don't go in there enough and buy anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And then when you
Just
get
because
that
I go and buy whatever, if I see something I want, I buy it, but I don't care where it's at. I'm not waiting for it to be at Total Wine.
you guys, we did a thing this past weekend, and I think we need to talk about it because I've never been part of this celebration before, but I was actually part of the inaugural Mashup Halloween celebration. I mean, it's a tradition you guys have had for a long time. We talked about it on the previous episode. We said there was going to be a party, but there was a nice party.
We've always had a tradition of drinking some Weller 12 while we trick or treat, and our kids have always been little, so you kind of have to go with them. But this year it felt like our kids were old enough to kind of go out on their own. My wife was able to go with, my two kids. My sister actually came in town, so she was able to go as well. We were able to set up our own little bar cart kind of for the neighborhood adults, So the kids got one table and the adults got the other table, right?
And they were very excited about it. Very excited.
It took a little while for the bourbon to catch on. I
Yeah.
felt like they went to the wine and the Jello shots first, but once the dads started coming down,
Yeah.
then it started getting a little bit, a little bit more.
Yeah, so this
bourbon-centric.
started last year during COVID with the Halloween, where instead of everyone at the houses, we live at the end of a street, and so we'd put a big fire pit in the middle of the court, put a table for basically a potluck in the court, and we put tables up in front for the candy. Well, this year we did a left table for kids and a right table for adults, and the kids had plenty of candy and the adults had plenty of drinks.
And let me just say, it's a good idea in theory, but you have to remember that the kids have to have directions, right? So that leaves one person manning the kids' table because it's going to be kids coming with their parents, right? So the parents go over to the adult table, the kids go to the kids' table. There's got to be somebody at the kids' table to make sure everything's running smoothly. And somehow that ended up being me.
I'm not even sure why, because I don't want any of the candy left. So if the kids empty a pail, I could care less.
Well, I know that's the thing. I think we kind of panicked on that, and we're making sure we had enough candy for everybody, but
ended up with a little excess,
right? The problem was I think a lot of kids actually weren't taking enough candy. They were like going to one bucket. I'm like, hey, you can get from all of these. You can get from all these buckets because this is for all these houses, right? So anyway, that ended up being me. I don't know. Maybe I've got the kids' personality while you all sat over and drank bourbon and talk bourbon with people.
Yeah, but we had a nice adult table. We had sangria, we had a little wine, we had 90 plus Jello shots.
Oh yeah.
Then we had 7 bottles of bourbon for people to try.
Oh yeah.
What was the most popular one, if you don't mind me asking? Because I didn't get to see anything
of the bourbon.
Yes.
Well, we finished 2 bottles off.
Yeah,
they were already open, but we finished the Basil Hayden toast.
Yeah, people really liked the Basil Hayden toast.
They kept on going for it.
It was fairly new.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to get.
I mean, but they would sip it and they go, "That's nice. That's really nice." So,
and then we finished off I had a Maker's 46.
That one was gone.
Yeah, and then
we put out some Willet and some Rare Perfection and some other things. Double Rye. What I thought was hilarious, and you guys might have missed
was
this.
It like leftover dinner night? You just throw out everything you got and say,
just open the fridge.
When kids ask what you're having for dinner, you're like, open up the fridge and this is what you got.
I thought we had a good range of price points.
Yeah,
some ryes and some knots.
I mean, the Rare Perfection bottle was like $150, $160 bottle. So a lot of people don't even know that. They're just like, wait, what's this? I'm like,
well, you know what? My steak dinner from Tony's is a $50 steak, but if it doesn't reheat well, then it's not any good either. So.
What I was going to say, though, is you guys, I don't know if you missed this, but one of the hilarious things was multiple kids, because the bourbon was on one side and the candy was on the other, and in the middle was where the wine and the Jello shots were. So multiple kids came up and went to reach for a Jello shot. They're like, it's Jello. And the parents were like, no. We're like, no, get your hands off that.
That's right. No,
funny.
We're IDing here.
Well, I thought we had a good setup. We had, 4 or 5 feet between the tables? The kids
we did,
and the adults,
but the kids naturally moved that way, and they kind of looked at it like, I'm going to have some of that bourbon
but
and those Jello shots.
It's always a good time when you sit there and the people turn the corner because we're at the end of the street, and you're turning like 90 degrees, and then they see the setup that we have.
Oh yeah,
and they kind of stop at the top of the hill. I'm like, what's going on down there?
Well, and that's the thing. It caught on.
Oh,
so
yeah.
at the beginning, it was kind of like the first couple people that came up were like, oh, and I was like, I can't remember who it was. Like one group came up and I was like, hey, don't be bashful. Just come over here and start having some bourbon. And then everybody was coming down was like, I heard about this. I heard about it. So the word traveled fast up the block. And
we got inundated at one point.
Oh,
I felt like it was, we got these waves, and 35 minutes into it, it was just.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I didn't get to see or hear y'all because I was taking care of the 100 kids that were showing up there. I saw my 90th Mario and my 65th Disney princess. So
you're doing some great work over there. We all appreciated it.
I did see a little girl dressed as Little Debbie, which I thought was cool.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, well, my wife said it was. She saw him earlier on the street, and she's like, "How cute was that?" And she said, "When you gave her candy, she would give you a Little Debbie." Well, I guess by the time they got to us, she didn't have any Little Debbies left. But I didn't get any Little Debbies.
You got the better end of that deal.
I know, right?
Snack cakes.
You're the sweet tart kid.
I mean,
you're Little Debbie,
right? So, however, I would say if we had to do it again, obviously a bourbon podcast, but we could throw a few more non-bourbon bottles up there, right? Maybe like some rum or something.
You want to make people highballs and martinis.
Here's the sad thing is I've got a whole cooler full of, or refrigerator full of seltzers that I haven't drank in a while.
Oh, are we getting off the seltzers? Is that
I guess I'm with the
trend. It's getting colder.
I'm with the trend. Yeah, like it's just getting colder. Nobody wants a seltzer in the fall and the winter time.
Yeah.
Well,
so
we moved to Moscow Mules, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a non-bourbon drink?
That is the non-bourbon
drink.
I'll
just drink regular beer. I've had a lot of beer lately, really, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Dark beer? Porters and stouts?
No, I don't do that. No. I don't do that, no.
But
I am impressed with the like the craft breweries, like the local ones that are coming out with their like have you noticed they're all kind of doing like a cheap beer now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still more expensive than Bud Light, but it's basically Bud Light, in their own. Like Country Boy here locally has one just called Super Premium Lager, and it's just beer, like it's I kind of like that.
It's just like a premium.
People realize
tasting,
you can't be drinking IPAs and stuff all the time.
Well, speaking of bourbon, guys, we have a new bottle tonight. It's a bottle of Wilderness Trail Bottled-in-Bond.
Oh, yeah. Wilderness Trail Small Batch Bottled in Bond. So this is distilled by the Wilderness Trail Distillery. They are local here in Danville, Kentucky. The bottle date is 2021. ABV is 50%, proof 100. This is a 4-year-old product, and the mash bill is 64% corn, 24% rye, and 12% malted barley. And the MSRP on this is $46.
So the logo is a big WT, you know. So my first thought was somebody looks at this and they think, is it Wild Turkey?
That's a good point.
Total Wine, TW. You know, it's like the house brand at Total Wine. But the bottle's like a kind of a square-ish bottle. If we had a bottle that really looks like this, because, you know, usually when you have these like upstart companies, they kind of just use generic bottles that whatever's cheapest. But I don't think we have. I think this is it's kind of unique.
It is, and when you mention a logo, it kind of looks like it almost looks like a weird spider or something.
It does, yeah. It's kind of got a creepy look to it too.
Yeah, off the Halloween.
It's got a synthetic cork. You guys know how I feel about synthetic corks.
No, but it's got a nice wooden top to it.
It does, yes, and it's got a very wide mouth. It seems like it's open a lot wider than most bottles. It's got the lip. I don't really like the lip. You know, that's what we've had of that. And the 1792s had the lip, and the Elijah Craig's had the lip. I don't really like that lip. So so when we're looking at it, when you look at them in the store, it can be a little bit confusing because all of their bottles look almost exactly the same, with the exception of the label color. Like there's like a strip of a label on it, and so this one's black because this is the small batch. But then there's a yellow, which is the single barrel, which we also found out tonight is also more weeded than this.
Yeah,
so,
slightly different mash bill.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same cue as a Woodford Reserve.
Yeah,
the bottle and everything's the same except for one little strip of color.
Yeah, and so you end up sitting there in the store and you're looking at it and you're trying to figure out like, okay, these two are different because they have different colored labels and they have different prices, but what's the difference, you know? And then you finally see that one of them is a single barrel and one's a small batch. We chose the small batch tonight.
Yeah, and when you mentioned that, I will say one thing
and they're both 100 proof, so it's not like in the same age, so it's not like a lot of difference on the bottle.
Absolutely, and one thing from episode past that we have to mention here too is their rye. They have a rye offering. Yeah, so green, black, and then the 6-year-old product they have is, what color is that one? Isn't it like gray?
I think so, yeah. And it kind of comes like, you can buy that in a special box and stuff too, right?
I think the first release of the 6-year was available in like a gift box. Yeah.
So this is almost like a decanter looking bottle, and I'm not real sure I love it. I kind of like a round bourbon
kind of
bottle.
like a generic brick bottle that we see.
It is.
But
like
it's got the sides.
That Remus.
Yeah, it kind of goes in a little bit at the side for.
I mean, it's the same
grip.
like shape as the Remus bottle we had last time.
Yeah, I think so. It's heavy though. I mean, it's a heavy duty. It's like thick glass. You know.
You can definitely use it for home protection.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
Nothing else.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not going anywhere. Hold your papers down. It's a good paperweight.
Solid paperweight.
I like the Kentucky Proud on the back. It says on here that they use locally sourced grains. So I don't know how local they're talking, but if they're Kentucky Proud, I'm assuming it's got to be somewhere here in Kentucky.
Who grows the rye here? You know, right?
I don't know.
Is there? You know,
I don't know. I overseed my yard with rye, where the Bermuda is in the summer.
There you go. Maybe they get it from your yard.
Getting it from me.
There you go.
Harvesting it from me. But it is. It's a good looking bottle. I do like it. It's non-chill filtered. It's at my car, so it's pretty cool when we got it.
Yeah, get the fats and stuff out of there.
Well,
it's a whole product. It's like whole milk. You know, that's the equivalent. I say.
Oh. And it's a sweet mash. Some other things are sour mash. This is a sweet mash. Actually, we talked about this one time when Stephen and I visited Peerless, and it's like the sweet mash means they clean out the fermenter like between every batch. The sour mash means like they leave a little bit of residue in there.
Yeah, the sweet mash takes longer to do.
I think like
because they have to completely clean all the system out.
Yeah, and I think those are usually done like in metal containers versus the wood because it's easier to clean. Does this go everywhere around the country? I think it does. It seems like they have a lot of money.
Well, I'm not really sure. It does seem like, actually, I should say it probably is in quite a few states because I do know that my brother in South Carolina, big shout out to Nick, he got himself a bottle of the 6-year. And when he called me and asked me about it, you know, sometimes when he calls me and asks me about his bourbon choices, I'm like, no, what are you doing? And this time when he said, I got my hands on the 6-year, what do you think? I said, goodbye, you know? That should be
Goodbye,
good.
like you just hung up the phone?
I know that's what it sounded like, right? No, I said, that should be a goodbye. Like I had
it
not
was
had
a
it.
goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye, like he got something hopefully tasty, because even though I've never had their 6-year product, I've heard good things, so I just
So we can't confirm it is in South Carolina.
Should we go for our first notes?
The first thing that comes out to me is like a vanilla note. I'm getting a heavy vanilla note.
I'm getting a very silky caramel.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, definitely smell some caramel.
I feel like I'm getting chocolate as well.
There's an oak note in this, which for a 4-year-old bourbon, you don't really get an oak note like this one carries, and not in a bad way. It's actually kind of nice. Surprising to tell you the truth. And I don't believe I've ever tried this before or anything. I think I've tried the one with the yellow label. How about you guys? Anybody ever had this before?
We had it one other time at an outing.
Yeah.
It was like featured.
And it was pretty new at that time. I
Yeah.
think they were still trying to get their name out there.
Okay.
So I don't remember. We were, trying it in a plastic shot glass, and
Oh, of course, yeah.
you know.
If it's middle of the summer in a plastic shot glass, that's not the greatest place to exhibit your bourbon, I'm guessing.
So I don't get a lot of notes ever, but I get kind of the same notes I get when the glass is empty. The wood, the wood smell.
Like
I feel-
like warehouse.
That's funny. I feel like this is a very desserty bourbon. Every note I'm getting is sweet,
Yeah.
like creamy.
I
I mean,
agree
I'm
with
getting a
that.
little bit of the wood that you guys are, but I'm getting a lot of the dessert notes.
The legs are interesting. The color's really nice. It's like what would you guys describe as a copper?
Yeah. All right. Should we go for our first taste?
So, what do you guys think? I'm interested here because I get a lot of nice flavors, I guess, on the front palate, and then the back kind of catches me a little bit, I guess, on the sides of the tongue, a little bit of astringency. That might be the oak. It smells sweeter than it tastes.
I agree. I don't think many of those desserts notes came through on the palate.
So it sounds strange, but I got a little garlic aftertaste.
Garlic.
Yeah.
What'd you eat for dinner?
What did I eat for dinner?
If you had pasta.
Oh,
with it.
I had Chick-fil-A, of course.
Oh, there you go.
And you don't get points when you use a free reward either. So
Well, that doesn't have garlic in it, right? It's Chick-fil-A.
No, I don't think so.
So,
I don't know, but it's kind of just like a little lingering aftertaste.
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It's almost like if it was sharp. If you had too much garlic, not necessarily garlic flavor, but that taste you have afterwards.
And for the record, it's not my lunch either because I had Chick-fil-A.
What the hell?
I had another reward. I had to use it. They expired today.
So you had Chick-fil-A all day?
So I had a reward for a free chicken sandwich, and I was going to use it for lunch today.
I let mine go to let mine expire.
So I used mine today.
Nice.
So then I went out running tonight, and when I got home, my wife she had gone to the doctor. She's like, "Hey, we have a reward that's expiring at Chick-fil-A." She's like, "I got you a sandwich." It's like, "Oh, that's funny. I used my reward today at lunch." So
You're like, so I've gathered my thoughts here. I got oak, vanilla. I get some clove. Either of you guys get clove?
I think that's in the garlic family.
Maybe the garlic family? There's something going on, I feel like, with the 24% rye and 12% malted barley in a younger bourbon that we haven't tasted before. And not bad.
Do you feel like it's spicy at all?
A little bit. And it doesn't hit the spice, doesn't hit you at the beginning. It hits you in the back.
Yeah, grows in the
Yeah.
mid back tongue.
Yep. The finish is pretty medium to
So I'd say shout out to them for the 100 proof waiting 4 years to put their stuff out. Like that's pretty good. I kind of put them in the same. They're kind of in the same category as New Riff, right?
absolutely.
Local,
Even better, though,
local
because
but national. Small but big. I
Yeah.
guess you could say it if that makes sense.
Well, they started in 2013, and I think their first barrels, if I can remember correctly, started hitting retail around 17, 18.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
So the timeline checks out on that.
Yeah.
So, they didn't put anything out that was young. They didn't
And they
source
didn't source
it.
yet. They didn't
Right.
source.
So
At least New Riff started from the OKI spot, even
Right.
though they didn't call those the two
right.
same brands.
And the
But
difference is New Riff keeps just putting out 4 year.
Yeah.
Whereas this one has already put out some 6 year. So they've obviously have the goal of putting out some pretty old stuff when the time comes around.
hey, I got to give them credit too, because we're so used to the opposite of this, which is just buy some bourbon from a tote somewhere, bottle it, and that's the start of your company. And then, hey, we might have our own distillate, 3-4 years down the road. But everybody drink this ultra uber expensive stuff while we're trying to figure it out. And they didn't do that. Not only that, but you guys have said you've been down through Danville. They're building like a ton of warehouses, right?
I think they're building a ton. I think I saw somewhere where they're building like on average like 3 a year for the next 10 years or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's something crazy.
Yeah, they're laying down some serious barrels. And then, I don't know a lot about it, and I don't know if you guys do either, but Shane Baker and Pat Heist are credited, co-owners of this brand. And I've just, from listening to, other podcasts and reading, recognized that Pat Heist has done so much with fermentation and yeast and, for some of the big distillers. So they definitely know what they're doing down there. They have a lot of experience, years of experience. And so we'll wait to see how I feel on the past try by here. I'm still going to sip this a little bit more, but I'm definitely impressed with them as a brand, and I see a lot of upside and potential. And I think the hype is real. What do you think?
I feel like I've seen them a lot out there. Like I feel like they do a lot of people do picks on them. I see them in basically almost every liquor store I go to.
Yeah,
I think they're really growing as a company, and since they did their own product, they didn't source it. I feel like it's really important.
Oh, I think it's super important. And as you mentioned, if you're anywhere in Kentucky, you're going to see them in the stores, but I don't know how that is in other states. And so,
I mean, they're in South Carolina.
Yeah, I know. And South Carolina, from what I understand, is a pretty terrible place when it comes to getting good bourbon. No offense. I'm just saying, just from the people I know down there, there's a lot of guys down there that get good bourbon, that have great groups and stuff. But I know they struggle. And they have to really hustle to get their bourbon. So
this is a little off topic.
Yep.
But, I mean, have you been to our local Total Wine and seen their barrel picks lately when you're talking about pretty terrible stuff? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's pathetic.
And they don't
like,
move.
They don't move. Like, they don't move. There's stuff you've never heard of.
I think
is it like 5 or 6 shells?
I think they must have 67% of all the Nulu in the world.
I mean, all they have every color wax and everything else, and the whole middle section of their like bourbon aisle is just boxes of unopened bottles. Like it's crazy.
I agree. And you know what the saddest part about?
But it's not just them. Liquor Barn's kind of like this too. So
they are. But here's the thing, and I'll give them both, the big box Liquor Barn and Total Wine, like a big 0 for this. Little independent stores that do a barrel pick, most of the time when you go in there and you say, "Could I try it?" They'll pull a little shot glass out from behind the counter. They'll pour you a half an ounce or whatever, and they'll say, "Give it a try." There have been times where I bought a bottle on the spot because of that. Total Wine has every license in the world. They got the ability to do that. You're in there looking at a shelf of 19 store picks, but you got to be here from 2 to 3 p.m. on Saturday to try one. It's sad.
Or 4 to 7 on Wednesdays, you can bring your dog in. So
bring your dog in. But I mean, if they actually took advantage of that, like if you could walk up to the service counter, show an ID, and say, "I'd like to try this pick," they could probably sell a lot more bourbon. And I think that it would be legal for them to do that.
Because,
so,
I mean, you guys
all
know,
these stores,
I
if
mean,
you're listening.
Y'all know how I feel. Like, if I don't know you, the company, I'm not buying it. Like, so.
Like, Nulu actually has some good product, but there's so many sitting there. Like, why would you want to buy
when
we 50?
When we went to Florida, we went to, was that Riverside?
Yeah.
The liquor store?
Yeah,
they were happy to share.
Riverside.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they were proud of their picks. I mean, it
Yeah.
was, like it's like, I feel like they're just doing picks just to do picks. They're like,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if they're really even doing them. So who knows?
You go to any of the independents here in Kentucky, they'll let you try their barrel picks, just not the big ones.
Well, gentlemen, would you pass, try, or buy on the Wilderness Trail bib? I'll go first.
All right.
Hey, that's rare.
Yeah, woo!
I like it. Woo!
I really enjoyed all the dessert notes I was getting from this. I'm on the fence on the palate. I've enjoyed it, but it wasn't overwhelming. But I feel for the price, and I've kind of really enjoyed the notes from it, that I would be a buy. And I think this would be a great holiday gift coming up for those that live out of state or whatever that you want to get something for. That's from Kentucky. I think it'd be a good choice.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Steven. I'd buy it for a lot of the same reasons. I think the bottle's cool. I think it draws your eye, and if you're from out of state, it's something that's really local. It's a small company. $45 is probably a little high. I'm sure they'll never come down, but at some point, I could see them being $45 for the next 20 years, and $45 ends up being the cheap end. In 20 years, probably a bourbon. So So I think that's fairly priced. I'd buy it. I like it.
I'm having such a tough time now. You guys both came up with the buy. I was in the try category, but I'll tell you why.
That's fine.
I'll tell you why I was in the try category.
Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns.
I had a pick that they had put out of their yellow label. We said that might be the more weeded one. It was like 113 proof, and I think it was from their gift shop. So a friend of mine was in Danville and said, they have this at the distillery, and it's benefiting charity. Would you want one? And I said, sure, of course. This is really good. That was even better. And so it kind of makes me say that you should try.
So those picks, those single barrel picks, you're saying you had a good experience on that.
Yeah. I mean, the one that was just, to my opinion, like,
Michael, what was the price difference on this between this and
so that's good that you said that, because y'all know that like we kind of went back and forth on this, and what we wanted to do with that, with what we were gonna review. So the single barrel pick at Kroger was $56.99. Now that was a 4-year like cask strength one. I also don't know what it would be other places, because the original price was $80.99 and they dropped it to $56. So I don't know if they really were ever charging $80. If that sometimes Kroger just does that to kind of make you feel like you're getting a better deal. But
I feel like I might have paid $60 for mine.
So $12. So $12 more, $15 more.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Especially if Anthony's saying like that was a lot better. I would spend the extra $10, $15 on that experience.
Well,
and it was only $4 more for the single barrel,
just a regular
single barrel, which was still 100 proof.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but the picks are higher proof.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will stick to my guns on this as a try, but I am definitely I'm between try and buy. I'm definitely not going to pass on Wilderness Trail, and I used to have a couple of their offerings when they first came out. I drank them, and then I hadn't really replenished, but I think I might go out and start trying to replenish now and scouting for some of their stuff, because I'm impressed.
What do they have in their portfolio under their brand? They have this small batch,
the single barrel, the 6-year, and the rye.
It says four bottles.
I think it's just the 4 offerings.
That's what I was trying to look it
up.
But
the thing is, they barrel at different proofs. So they have I think they barrel between 109 or 110 and 120. And so there's going to be variance in the product that comes out based on how they're doing it, right? So like I said, I think the cask strength one I had was almost 5 years old. I could be wrong. I think it was 4 years and 6 months maybe. And then it was 113 proof. So if you compare that to this, which is a 4-year-old product at 100 proof, they've cut it a little bit. And so you're going to have different tasting notes across their different mash bills and across their different ages and things like that, since they do have variance in what they're doing.
You know what? Next time I see this pick out, I'm going to pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So on their website, just looking here, they actually have the distributors in each state.
No way.
Yeah, that sell it. For example, shout out to all of our Kansas listeners. Worldwide Beverage is distributing it there. Your brother in South Carolina, Advintage, is the distributor. So, so it looks like they've got somebody in pretty much every state.
They got some traction.
Yeah.
And I had heard at one point in time, too, that they were planning a big push for overseas before the tariffs. And for those of you who've been paying attention,
those went away?
Yeah, the tariffs are now being rolled back, which probably will be bad for us. It'll mean that they're going to ship more bourbon overseas. But
that is a good point.
But it'll be better for the industry, so it can't be greedy, right?
There goes our Blanton's straight from the barrel.
If you had any chance at the straight from the barrel, it's all going overseas now.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.